There are few games that have reached cult status quite like Nintendo's Earthbound. From its troubled development to one of Nintendo's most catastrophic marketing campaigns, every step was filled with challenges that would have buried any other title. Yet, Earthbound now stands as one of the most beloved and influential games of the Super Nintendo era. Let's explore how it happened. Earthbound is actually the middle child of the Mother trilogy, and to truly understand Earthbound, we first need to look at its creator, Shigesato Itoi. In the 1980s, Shigesato Itoi was a successful copywriter in Japan, and even had a small acting career. You might have even seen him as Satsuki's father in My Neighbor Totoro. But one thing that Itoi was not was a games developer. However, he had a vision. He wanted to create a game that was unique, something that parodied the massively successful Japanese role-playing games of the era. At this time, games like Final Fantasy and Dragon's Quest dominated the Japanese market. However, Itoi saw the potential for something different. A game that instead of relying on brave swordsmen, spells and archers in medieval settings, used children, armed with yo-yos and psychic powers, set in a modern Americana environment, with humour and puns that were just as important as the storyline itself. But without a development team and no studio behind him, it would be an almost impossible task. Until in the mid-1980s, Itoi was given his golden opportunity. Itoi was visiting the Nintendo headquarters, working as a copywriter, when he came into contact with Nintendo's most famous games designer, behind names such as Donkey Kong, Mario and Zelda, Shigeru Miyamoto. Itoi did not waste the opportunity. He pitched his idea to Miyamoto in the hopes of getting a development deal. Miyamoto was impressed by the concept, but Itoi's lack of game development experience and the ambitious nature of the project scared Miyamoto from taking it on as a project. But that didn't deter Itoi. He really was passionate about his goal, and within the year Itoi reduced his other work commitments and had assembled a small team of developers in Ichikawa, Chiba, Japan, to work on the first game of the Mother trilogy, Earthbound's prequel, Mother, known in the West as Earthbound Beginnings. Miyamoto was impressed by Itoi's dedication, and finally decided to adopt the project, funding and providing a small team for Itoi, creating the now famous Ape Inc., which would later become Creatures Inc., which would go on to be a one-third owner in one of the most successful video game franchises in history, Pokemon. After 1.5 years of development, Mother was released in Japan in 1989 on the Nintendo Entertainment System. The game became a commercial and critical success in Japan, validating Itoi's vision. Players loved the refreshing take on the role-playing game genre, which relied on humour and featured the main protagonist, Ninten, a young boy with psychic powers fighting against an alien enemy, the Gigas, to save the Earth. The game would sell over 400,000 copies in Japan. Mother was set to be an international success, and was fully localised and translated into English, set for a US release in 1991. But it wasn't to be. Nintendo cancelled the US release as Nintendo shifted its focus onto the new Super Nintendo console. There were fears that a release on the outdated Nintendo Entertainment System wouldn't perform well in the changing market. This was in addition to the fact that the game came along with a large user manual. In a time before the internet, this was seen as a required companion to the game, to provide the users with a satisfactory experience. But the production cost of the manual was baked into the price of the game, a problem that would also plague the sequel Earthbound. It wasn't until 2013 when Nintendo's then CEO Iwata announced it would finally be released in the US on the Wii U Virtual Console. But the initial success in Japan provided Nintendo with the confidence to back Itoi for his next venture, Mother 2, or, as it's known outside of Japan, Earthbound. Thanks for watching, and please check in next time for part 2.